Hello, welcome to chapter 7 of our web development course using HTML and CSS. We are going to discuss forms in this particular chapter. When we say forms, a form is just an information collection mechanism. Just like we go for interviews or we go looking for a particular thing to do, we are handed over a form of a paper for us to fill. That is a way of a company or an institution is what collecting an information from you. So even on the website, you can also create forms to also what allow users or visitors to what input those data, okay, for you. So it's just an information collection mechanism. Okay, I'm going to discuss it and how to create forms on our web pages in case we would like the visitors to give us an information. We're also going to discuss form controls. Okay, various forms of controls you can give to a form, whether a drop down or whether checkboxes. Sometimes I'm going to fill some forms, you see checkboxes, male or female. Sometimes you see radio buttons. Okay, you are going to explain all these ones, either a drop down, a radio button. What is a radio button? What is a checkbox? We are going to discuss all this, the submit button and the rest. We will go into the details when we start creating the forms in our text editor. We are also going to explain how to receive a text box, how to insert a text box, okay, for large collection of what information. Let's say the name or the username. So those ones shouldn't be that long as compared to a text box in while sending an email. And then we also have to also explain password, how to take passwords. You know, password shouldn't be having plain text. How to actually describe the browser to be able to read that this is password, so the information should be encrypted. Okay, we are going to explain all these various mechanisms, or if you like, form controls in our forms. Okay, the element form is used in creating the form in HTML. Okay, form element is used. Let's go straight into our text editor. Let me clean up my code here. Let's say you go to gmail.com and you want to create the Google Mail account. You'll be given a form to fill. Your username, your full name, sometimes you're asked first name, last name, and you're asked to choose a username. You're asked to enter a date of birth. Sometimes there's a date picker you can also use. You're asked to choose your gender. So some of these ones are radio buttons, some are drop down, some you also enter the text yourself. Okay, those are the various form controls I'm going to talk about. Now I have inserted a form and it has some attributes. Okay, so first of all, there's an action and then there is this input element. I will explain it. I will explain type, name, and then max length for everyone to appreciate before I'll display it. So first of all, let's explain those key points. As for form, it is used to declare the form we are creating. But the first attribute, which is input, okay, the input element is used to create several different form controls. Okay, so the input is used in creating form controls. The value, okay, of the type attributes, which we are going to discuss, determines what kind of input you are creating. So back to my code again. It's here. It says form action, then they'll indicate. Let me first explain form action and then the website. The website here simply means when you are inserting your information and you, let's say, want to submit it and you click on submit, which particular server are you sending your information to, okay, to be stored? or which website is requesting you. So this is the action. Okay, every form must have an action. That means when you are sending when you fill in the form, where it is going, that's an action. Anywhere you go, when you are taking your child to a school or are giving a form to fill, whether online, you should know where your form, the information you have inputted is going to. It's very, very important. When you even do an online survey and you submit, you should know where it is going to. So that's for the action. But the input here allows us to what? To receive information from our visitors. Okay, so it is just used in almost all of the form controls. Let me explain the type. The type of information we are looking for, okay, from the person will be indicated here. This text simply means we are creating just a line of text, just one line of text. The one for usernames, the one for usernames, or the one for last name, first name. Okay, now the name here, and then you see username. The server must be able to interpret where to categorize whatever you have put here, the value. So when I give you a form, let's say a login form. Okay, login form usually comes with a username and a password, and then you enter a value in a username. How would I know this is a username and this is what? A password. So that's what the name is used for. So the name here simply means whatever I type here should be considered as what? As my name or as my username. And the maximum length refers to the number of characters, or the amount of characters I want. Okay, so it means when you are giving me a username, or when you are choosing a username, it shouldn't exceed 30 characters. Okay, this is a simple and a basic form. Usually we don't give a lot of what max length if we are looking for just a username or something, a basic test from people. Usually shouldn't exceed even 24. Okay, even though there are some people who have what very, very long, very, very lengthy names. Okay, but if you are creating a different type of what input, okay, we are looking for a different type of input. Let's say we want to create a text box, a very big text box. Definitely we are not going to put what? We are not going to put 30 here, okay, because it is impossible to, let's say, write everything about yourself or describing yourself in, let's say, 30 characters. It's not possible. Those of you who are very familiar with Twitter, okay, they also have what? A maximum length you can input as a post. Most of these websites that requires us to input our data, or they want to request and some information from us, have maximum length in some of their form controls. It is just to structure our form properly, so that someone will not come and write just a sentence, a very lengthy sentence, as his username. Yes, so now from the explanation, let's save our work to actually see, because this is a paragraph, okay, and it ends here. This is what we are actually putting between the paragraphs. So we are putting username between the paragraph, but we are looking for a single line of text. That is what we have indicated here, the type as text. We want the server to be able to interpret whatever we are typing into our, let's say, box. Okay, username box. It should classify it as the username and not as something else, not as a date. And then we are looking for not more than 30 characters. Okay, so let's save, refresh this. You see my form has been beautifully created. Okay, beautifully created. You see the username, the one we type in the paragraph, and then this is the form we have created. In the form we are asking it to create just one line of text, a single line of text, which is the type we declared, and we are also asking it to also interpret whatever we are typing here as a username, as a name, not as a password, not as a date, okay, not as time. And then we are also saying we want only 30 characters. So you can just input, and then this is the action I spoke about. Anytime you submit, it is taking you to what? example.com.login. That means I'm trying to log in into an account I have with what? example.com. Same applies to Facebook, same applies to almost every other website we are trying to what? Send the information to. So from here you can see we are trying to send our information to example.com. Probably we have already signed up to a package on example.com, and then we are trying to what? Log in. So that is the information that is contained in the form action, the action area of the form. Okay, so that's what we have displayed beautifully. What about if we want to allow the user to give us his password, his or her password, the same site? Okay, so let me just copy that of the username, okay, and then paste, make the changes. So this is what I want to be displayed, so that the person will know that we are requesting for his password. Okay, the test will now be password. So the type of the information we are looking for is a password. The reason why we are using the password type, okay, password type also works just like a single line of text, just like the test, but then it encrypts, it hides the actual characters, or it blocks out the actual characters we are typing, so that when someone is looking over your shoulders, the person is looking on your screen, the person wouldn't know which keys you have what inputted, okay, which keys you have typed. The person will be seeing only blocked or hidden letters or encrypted letters, just like a bullet, okay. And then this place username, we want the server to be able to interpret this particular input as what? As a password, and not as a username or as a date. So the name should be password, okay, password, WORD. It should explain. Let's leave the length also as 30. That means you can, when choosing your characters, you cannot what? Enter more than 30 characters. Now you can see my password has also been added. Okay, anytime I type, I'm not seeing plain text just like this. So when my username is Sewuni, my password is what? It's blocked out like this, it's encrypted like this. Then when I hit my enter, it will submit it to a particular website I've asked it to what? To submit to. Alright, so that is it. That is, this type is password. We are not using test just like we used here. We are using what? Password as the type, because we want our letters to be encrypted. Imagine if I use test, plain test here instead of password. Let me try it. Let me just put test here instead of password. So at the input type I've used test. Let me just refresh. Now when I start keying in my password, you'll be seeing exactly what I'm typing. Okay, so the password type is just like the input of test type, but just that you must indicate that you are doing you are creating a password. Otherwise it will appear on your form wrongly, and when people are choosing their passwords, any other person can just see it. So when you change it to password and you start typing, now it is encrypted. Okay, as you are typing, it is encrypted. So this is what we want to actually do. Now you realize that this input, okay, is an what? It's an empty element, so it has no opening and closing tag, this as well. But now we want to be able to receive comment. Let's say we want someone to leave some comment after visiting our site, or to leave a comment after reviewing or as a form of review on our website, what do? In this case, we would like the person to enter multiple line of text. We are not telling the person to put all his comments in a single line of text by using just the text input or the password. What we want the person to do is to be able to enter as many lines as possible. So we are going to use the text area element, and the text area element is not an empty element, so it has an opening and a closing tag. So what is happening here is we are using a text area. We are not now using the input type. We are using the text area, and the text area is not it's not an empty element, so it has some text in between the opening and the close. This text you see here will appear in the comment box. Okay, it will appear in the comment box, so you are expected to click and then erase it and then now enter your comment. Okay, some websites also allows the text that is already in the text box to vanish when you click on it. You have given it 20 columns to be able to write and 4 rows to be able to write. This is a very big text box. It's not as simple as receiving a normal username. Okay, so you have given a lot of chance for the person to be able to write as many comments as possible. You can even increase the number depending on how you want the person to send you a particular information. Let's save this and then refresh our browser. Now you can see this. Enter your comment. Enter your comment. If you actually watch properly, we have given it how many rows? Only 4 rows, but the column we've given it 20 columns. So that's why the box is not long like that, but it is it spans horizontally. It doesn't, you see, the moment I do this, see what is happening. But you are giving the person the opportunity to be able to write his or her comments. Let me click inside to now erase this, then I'll be able to write my comments. I have multiple, you see, I have multiple chance to write whatever I want to write in the comment box. Now what happens if I click in the box and I see enter text here, enter comments here, and I'm not able to erase whatever was there originally? It will send it just like that, or it will be, my reason will be added to enter your comment here, okay, as it was there originally. So we are gradually developing our forms. We will start doing the buttons. So radio button, we talk about it. We talk about tick boxes, okay, drop down. As we are developing our forms, it is important also, or it is possible, we would like people to choose which of the options we have given them, okay, in order to limit them to a particular at a particular point, okay, so that you don't give them an open-ended questions whilst you are requesting an information from them. You are supposed to give them close-end questions, so you are helping them out. One of the ways to do is to use a radio button. A radio button just allows you to choose only one option out of the options you are given. So let's try this example. First of all, that's the question. Select your favorite sports. We've done this already. It's a line break. I told you line breaks are empty element. Line breaks simply means don't continue with this particular side on the same line. Break the line and then drop it. So first line, which is input, the type is radio. I told you we are creating radio buttons, and then what we are requesting for them is their favorite sports game. So the server should store it as sports, and then the value, this is football, and then checked is checked to indicate that football has been selected. Okay, same applies to this. If tennis is selected, is checked, it should show, and then when golf is selected, it should show. The checked simply means it's just allowing you to choose only one. Okay, just only one option. You cannot choose more than one option. Okay, let's save it, Control S, and then straight to our web page. Let me refresh the web page. Okay, so now you can see, please select your favorite sports. Football is now selected, right? When I choose tennis, it moves from football and comes to tennis. When I choose golf, it moves from tennis and then football and comes to golf. So it allows me to only choose one at a time. That is what the radio button. Okay, it allows you to choose only one of the options you have been provided with. So this one can be used for, let's say, an online examination or a review of a particular product. Okay, when you are asked to rate good, bad, and then excellent, you can be provided with those three and you choose only one at a time. You cannot choose all three and you cannot choose two. You are going to a different types of what button instead of using radio button. Now, for instance, you would like to use checkboxes on your website. How do you go about it? Okay, so in this case, I'm trying to choose favorite music service. Okay, so we are indicating that it's a checkbox. Checkbox is different from radio button. Checkbox allows you to select and unselect. Okay, but radio button only allows you to choose one at a time. Checkbox can also allow you to choose more than one, either one or more, but it also allows you to what, to uncheck a particular option you want to give. So let's try this. Okay, the name, the server should store it as a service. The value of the particular thing we are looking for is iTunes. By default we have selected what, iTunes, but we can what, uncheck it. When you choose this one, it means you are voting for Last FM, and this one is for Spotify. So let's do the saving and then refresh our browser, see the results. Now we have this and we have iTunes checked. I can select more than one, and I can unselect this, I can unselect that, and I can choose this and this. Okay, so that's the difference between this radio button. Allows you to choose only one at a time. The moment I choose, I can't unselect, I can only choose this. When I move to this one unselects automatically. This one also unselects all the two automatically and ticks this. But when I come to checkbox, okay, I can select all the three. I can unselect one, or I can select two, and okay. So that's the difference between using the checkboxes and choosing the radio button, depending on whatever we want to do. So if you are looking for an information where the person can vary his the person can choose more than one option, we choose what, a checkboxes. If the information you are requesting from the person allows only one option, one answer only, then we use the radio button. Okay, so they all have their importance and their significance in web creation. Now when we want to use a drop down, okay, instead of either a checkbox or using a radio button, by selecting options in a drop list. So let's give an example. While this option, okay, the checkbox and then the radio button uses input type, the drop list uses select. Okay, it uses a select to give you that effect. So we are saying select, the name should be devices, so the device you use. First option, okay, iPod, so you see iPod, you choose iPod. You are sending iPod as a value, okay, of the device you use to the server. When you choose radio, it means you are sending the value radio to the server as the device you use. If you choose computer, that means the computer is the device you listen to music on. Okay, so let's just save this and then refresh our page. Okay, all right, so you see, what device do you listen to music on? And there's a drop list. When you click on a drop list, you see iPod, radio, and you see computer. I can also use my arrow keys. I'm currently using my keyboard, my arrow keys, to do the selection. I can also click on the drop arrow and I'll choose the device I listen to music on. This also a different way of collecting information from from a viewer, okay, or from a visitor. This also allows you to choose only one answer. You can't choose two answers as you can do with checkboxes. Now you may also want to do a kind of a drop list, but you want them to be able to do multiple selection, just like you do when using the checkbox. Let's try, and I've copied the code. Let me just drop it here. Now the paragraph says, do you play any of the following instruments? You can select more than one option by holding down Control. Those of you who don't know, Control is the CTRL key on your keyboard when you are using Windows, and then when you are using the Mac, it is the Command key. Okay, it's the Command key. So once you hold down the Control or the Command, then you'll be clicking on the particular option, so it will multi-select it. And here you can see a particular attribute here called size. The size here simply means, even though we have 4 options, which is guitar, drums, keyboard, and then bass, okay, show only 3 options at a time to the visitor. Okay, so let's just save it. Let's refresh our page. Now this is what you see. Even though you have 4 options, only 3 options are showing at the same time. You see, when you scroll like this, you still see 3. When you scroll up, you see 3. So let me try and select. So I hold my Control, I click on this to unselect it, and I choose drums, and I choose. So now I've chosen 3. When I scroll down, 1 is hidden, then 3 is showing. Okay, so make sure that if you want the person to select 3 options, you give, let's say, 2, or you give even all the 3, so the person will be able to choose 2 out of the 3, depending on what you want the person to do. You indicate your size. Let's say you want only 4 options to appear at a go to the person, for the person to be able to do his or her selection. You indicate 4. If you want 5 to show at a time, make sure your options are more than the number you are indicating here though. Okay, that is the only criteria. We are gradually itching to the end of this chapter as well, but we would like to also allow our visitors to also upload a file. Okay, let's say PDF, they have any document they want to upload, they have a song, an MP3, a video. Okay, if they have a picture, we would like them to upload. How do we get that information? Okay, so let me create another form which I have the codes already. The only thing that will change will be the attribute get to post. Okay, so we are going to add one attribute here, post. We cannot do it with our traditional post. So let's see method. It says the HTTP, I'm reading, the HTTP method that the browser uses to submit the form. Possible values are, you see, post correspond with the post method. Form data are included in the body of the form and sent to the server. Get, this is what I said we cannot use. Okay, correspond to the HTTP get method. form data are appended to the what, to the action attribute URL with a question mark as a separator. So what I'm trying to say is that we are using the post method, okay, to be able to upload. The type is a file. The file also creates something like a text box, okay, with the word browse close to the text box, okay, with the word browse close to the text box. When you click on the browse, it opens your file explorer. So depending on your operating system, your file explorer will open differently. The designer has no control over how the file explorer is going to open. So let me just save this. This is a different form I'm trying to create to allow me to input to upload files. Okay, so I see upload your mp3 song, your song in mp3 format. You see there is a browse and there is an upload, okay. It says no file selected. Let me click on the browse. When I click on the browse, it should open my file explorer. Because I'm using Windows 10, let me just go to the images, select the image, okay, I want to send, and I'll click on open. When I do this, it has selected the file I want to send, and now I cannot submit by clicking upload. When I upload it, it will take me to the particular website where my action is pointed to. If you check here, you see my action is pointing to example.com. I told you it can be facebook.com. This is how we upload our pictures. This is the same way we are allowed to upload, let's say, our passport pictures for a form, from a form. We are allowed to upload our document, let's say our thesis, let's say our homework, our assignments you have been given. This is the same method they use in uploading, the post method, okay. Now let's talk about the subscribe or the submit button, okay. The submit button is just allowing us to send the information, okay, to the server. So I have something of already, okay. So this is the input type test. We want an email, okay. We want the person to subscribe to our, let's say, email list to be getting newsletters from us, okay. The type is submit. So I told you the submit is just used in sending our information, okay. So after you fill in the form, you click on submit to finally submit all the information you have entered in those fields above, okay. So that's the submit button. The submit button also may appear differently on different devices, okay. We have saved our work. Now this is the the submit button or the subscribe, you see. So you can type submit. Let me just type submit. You see submit, you save, you see submit to this format, you see submit here. So anything I type, let's say I type my email and I'll click on submit, okay. So it will still take me to the example.com. Alright, so let me go back to the subscribe to our email list. We're going to talk about how to use image, okay, to use image buttons, okay, image buttons as our subscription buttons, okay, image buttons as subscription buttons. So assuming you want to use an image button, I have some codes already here. I don't have a submit button. I will have to either design one or download one. I'm using these dimensions. Let me reduce this to 100 to 20 and leave this as 100. Let me just use any of my images I'm just improvising. So let me just say bar. Let me just use my banner. Let me see how it's going to appear. Ctrl S to save. refreshing my button. Let me refresh. Let me scroll down. This is how my submit button is going to appear. So after typing in my email, Sewuni group, okay, let me just use 77717 at gmail.com. I click on submit button. So you have to look for a proper submit button. You can use a proper dimension. If you think my dimension is not favorable, you have the liberty to do your own changes. Now this brings us to the end of our form, our forms lesson. We discussed how to use radio button, how to design a form, how to use the checkboxes, how to use the drop list, multiple lists, and then we also try to insert files, subscribe button, and how to also get the how to use the image button as our submit button. Let's talk about labeling form controls. How to label form controls. Before you want someone to even fill a form for you, let me show you from the browser. You would like, let's say age here, then you give different control options for the person. If it's a checkbox, a checkbox, if it is a password, a password. Let me explain it here. So this is still our action. This is where we are sending it to the label. So age, and the input for the age, we are looking for a text, and then the name should go as what? It should store it as our age. It shouldn't store it as a username or as a password or something. Now we break the line and give the options to choose. And the option one, we are saying male or female. So the ID, the input ID is female. The type is radio. That means that we can choose only one at a time. It should store it as our gender. It should use the value F. So F for female. F should stand for what? Female. Let me read the information about 4. It says the ID element of what? A labelable form related element in the same document as the label element. The first element in the document with the ID matching the value of the for attribute is the labeled control for this label element. If it's not labelable, then the for attribute has no effect. So we are going to label it. So the for attribute should have an effect. That is why I like Visual Studio Code as well. It's giving us even information on the attributes we are using, for the input methods we are using, for all the elements we are using. It is giving us what? The explanation. So once you are doing it, you are guided. So we are supposed to first of all choose an age. Just input a text. Write the number, our age. Just write the age. The next, it says gender. It's asking for gender. For gender, we have 2 options, either female or male. There's a reason why we are using what? Radio. We are using radio because we don't want people to choose 2 options. You can't choose male and female at the same time. So that's the best way to what? Use the radio button in the circumstances where you need only one option to be selected. Let me refresh, scroll down to see. Now you can see age, so I can just write 15. Gender, and I'll say I am male. That is it. So that's how you label form control. This is how you label it. Age. So this text box is for age, and then this one is for male or female. When I click on this, it is what? For F. This is M, as it is what? Indicated in our code here. There's a way of also grouping form elements and control. How to group them. How to group them. Let's say a contact form, a sign up form, a login form. You see the basic information. the additional information. You can group form elements by also writing the code for it on the, so it will appear on the website. So when you go to the contact form, any information you are going to give is how we are going to reach out to you. Okay, that is what the contact form. If you are also giving the basic information form, you give. If it's a health information, so you create those groupings, okay, so that almost every element around that area belongs to the same particular group. Okay, now how do we do those groupings? Okay, we do those groupings by using the field set. You use the field set element, and inside the field set element comes the legend. The legend is just trying to tell you what information is being required, what's the name of the form or the name of the group, kind of. So here we are looking for an email. We did labeling in the previous lesson. We are looking for what? Email. We break the line, we take a text, okay, and name it what? Email. We break the line here, come to mobile, we are accepting what? Text, and then we take it as our mobile number. We break the line again, come to telephone, and then submit it as what? Telephone. Okay, and we close the what? The field set. Let's try view this on our browser. Let me scroll down so you can see contact details. The line you see around most browsers, okay, put a line around the form. So this is our email, we enter it, our mobile, and our telephone. All these ones are about contact what? Details, so that we'll be able to reach out to you in case we want you. Let's say it's an online job application form, and you are asked to leave your contact details. Okay, so we can group those ones as your contact details, okay, to be able to what? Reach out to you easily. That's the field set element. And then the legend is just used to describe the name of the what? The group, kind of. These groupings are important if you are filling a very long form. If the form is a lengthy form, you would like to what? Segregate them into groups, okay, that are related to each other. Now let's talk about form validation. Okay, form validation allows us to enter the required information that is needed from us. What is expected of us is what we should enter to reduce the stress on the server to now try to classify whatever you have inserted as a password or as a name or as a telephone number. You should be able to what? To put form validation in order to what? To prompt the visitor that this is not the information I really want from you. I want you to enter your name, and you are entering, let's say, a telephone number, because your name and telephone number wouldn't have the same format. Okay, so let me quickly do a validation for you to appreciate what I mean. All right, so this is what supposed to tell the visitor that some of the fields are required, they are necessary for you to continue. You make those ones mandatory, and some of the fields you make them voluntary. Okay, let's say you have signed up for an account and you want to log in. Definitely your password should be a necessity. You should enter it. Okay, otherwise you should not be allowed to enter your account, to open your account, even though you have subscribed to a particular service on a website. They will need you to enter your username and your password if indeed you are the person. If you enter username without entering the password, you'll be prompted that you should enter it, because it is required of you. So this is what you do. The same action goes to example.com. You are still using your post, the get. We've treated label already, so username, we are labeling our user control. We did it in our previous lesson. Now it says required. This is what I want you to see. Required. Okay, so you indicate that this is a necessity, which is the username is what is required. Okay, you break the line here. After breaking the line, you come to password and you also write what required before you submit. If you are done filling both fields. Okay, so I've saved my file. Let me just refresh. Now when I click on username and I don't write anything, let's say I decide not to write anything, I come to password, I decide not to write anything, I should be prompted by the browser, okay, that some of the fields are what are mandatory, others can be filled without validation. Okay, so that's basically what form validation is. We will definitely be accepting dates mostly on our forms. Sometimes you would like people to enter their date, so this is the code. So you can see our labeling. So this is departure time. You can even do, let's say, arrival time. It should be what depart. So let's say you are creating a website for to accept what, or for people to clock in the time they came to work and the time they left. Okay, so you can do a simple form. When they come, they just write their name and they write their arrival time. When they are leaving, they write their name and then choose the departure date or time, depending on whatever you want to do. Or you are doing a website for a flight booking company, okay, or an interview booking for a job, you can do this departure time, arrival time, just like when you go on these flight companies you see, or these airline companies. So Control S to save, and then let's now view whatever we've done. You can see it's asking us to choose the date, and this is a date picker. Okay, choose the month, choose the year. We can easily click on this one and then go through it, and there's a submit button for us to submit. Very, very nice. You can include this one in your form. Okay, departure time, arrival time. Okay, so that the client will also get to do whatever is asking you to create a website for. It is possible that someone you would like to create an email list. Okay, and in creating the email list, you will like the person to also enter his or her email, right? So in case you want someone to enter his or her email as part of filling the form, because most forms they ask for your email to be able to create an email list to be sending you update and then these notifications and what have you. So you can use this particular code here to accept people's email. The type should be, the input type is email. The name, the server should recognize it as as my email, whatever I type inside, and then a submit button. Okay, let me just save, Control S. Let me view and see how my email will be collected. Okay, so please enter your email address. So you enter your email address, okay, and then you click on the submit. Okay, to submit it. It is still going to this action. You may also want to accept URLs, okay, which is uniform resource locator. We explained URL, which is an external website you want to cite, or an external document elsewhere you would like to cite. So you may want to put in that link. Okay, you may want to put that link on your website so that it can refer people to the destination you want them to go. Okay, now this is what you are going to do. You can see the type is URL. It just follows the same pattern, just like this. Okay, but the name is website. You want the server to recognize it as a website, because indeed URLs are website or website addresses or document addresses on the internet. Okay, you don't want it to go as an email, because it's not an email, it's a URL. You want it to go as such. Okay, So let me save my validation work. Let me save it. Let me try and enter a different thing other than a URL. Enter your website. Let me just type 123. When I submit, it should give me an error. You see, it says please enter. This is what we were referring to as form validation. It is telling you they want a URL and not what, just numbers. Let me type my name instead of a website. Let me just type my name. It is still telling me enter. Okay, it says please enter a URL. So this form validation, it is actually telling you what they need. Okay, what they need you to enter. You may also want to create a very short form for, let's say, searches. Okay, a very short form for searches. You want them to search for any information on a particular database or on your website's database. You can just follow this code, form action to the same website. Search is the name, so it will create a one line, okay, a one line text box for you to be able to search for any information, any keyword you want on the website. Okay, so you see search will be displayed. The type is search and the name is search. We are not using username, we are not using password, we are not using a website, we are not using email, we are not using image or anything. Okay, and the type, this one is submit, and the form has ended. Let me just save, refresh. Let me refresh it and scroll down so you can see the search. Mostly these ones are at the top. Okay, the top of the pages. You go through the meta information properly, so you get whatever we are discussing in our project. Okay, so it is a search information. You see the search button here, so you can type, let's say, Sewuni. It will go into the database of, let's say, this website and look for Sewuni information for you. All right, so there's one thing called placeholder. Let's quickly do that and call it a wrap for this particular forms lesson. Okay, so it is called a placeholder. So the placeholder is just a text, okay, that is displayed in the text box, okay, to guide the visitor on what is required of him. So let me just do this. If you are using an old browser, it is likely you are not going to see it work. It's a place that I will explain, and I will do one example. So you see search. You can even do it for username. There are some online forms, when you go on them, username, you see username written in the text, so that the moment you click on that particular search button or search box, okay, the placeholder vanishes. So in this case, we are looking for enter a keyword. So let's say we are creating a search engine. We want you to enter a keyword, or you have created a username or a login form, and we want you to enter your username. Okay, you can just do it username. Take this one as, let's say, username. It's just a normal text. Then we enter username in the box. So the moment we click on the username box, the username disappears. Let me just save this and show you how it will display. Not all browsers will show it, like I said. So this is it. The placeholder is the word inside this box, which is enter keyword. So as you are entering, the keyword vanishes. You see, so you see enter keyword. It's just a guide to tell you can enter your keyword. You can do same for the email, enter email. You can do same for username and say enter username. Okay, enter username. Now this brings us to the end of chapter 7, which is forms. We will go to chapter 8, that is extra markup. So we'll be talking about comment, okay, on our page, so we can comment and be able to what to comment our code, so when someone takes our code, it is easily what understood. Okay, it is easily understood. We put on some comments to explain whatever you want to do, so that when someone else takes your code, he can understand, and he can even continue working on the code if you put on comments. We do those ones, and we do additional information in the metadata in the head. We will also explain those ones. Okay, thank you for taking part in this forms lesson.